Hey guys, this is my first video for my new weekly feature on my blog. I'm going to be doing a lot of live videos. This is actually going to be a recorded audio video, uh, mainly because my girlfriend was vacuuming and steam cleaning last night, so that would have made for a pretty annoying video. So a little bit of extra value then for you guys this week. Playing these games on lock poker in the Bear Room and Buffalo Room. I always think it's funny how they list their lobbies on that site. Or the Merge Network, I guess. It's like the 1K Hyper Turbo lobby is the Pronghorn Antelope Room, and I don't know. I don't know where they get these names. I think they should change it to the Hokey Greg Room though, or maybe the Jared Hubbard Room, but. Gonna have to start lobbying for that, I guess. But yeah, this is my new weekly feature for my blog. I'm gonna be doing this kind of indefinitely. We'll see how it goes. No promises that you're gonna be getting like one video a week for like months on end, but we'll see how it goes. And I've got some other ideas. If we'll see how you guys like it. I guess I'm gonna be putting some polls up on my Twitter and on my Facebook fan page just to kind of gauge. If you're liking what you're seeing, like what kind of changes you might want, I'm really trying to promote myself in the social media world right now. I'm trying to expand into other forms of poker. I'm getting into MTTs, some six max stuff, heads up cash stuff like that. That I'm trying to expand myself in social media, but in doing that, I want to make myself accessible to you and to a lot of players that maybe couldn't afford me at my normal rates. And so I think that's kind of like a mutually beneficial thing for both of us. And I want to kind of just have fun with it and something a little bit different that maybe you don't see from a lot of other people that are involved in social media. I love coaching. I love teaching. That's what I was going to do. Before I got into poker, actually, I was going to VCU in Richmond, Virginia. I was getting my teaching certificate to teach high school history, and I was like probably a semester and a half away from doing that before I started boom switching hardcore at the 55s. I was having like 6K months, like month after month after month, like some crazy 2007 ROI of like, I don't know, 12% or something. But fortunately it all worked out at least to this point. I'm probably a little bit lucky in that regard, but it's a lot of hard work too. But got to keep working hard. So, this is, I'm excited about this. I'm hoping it goes well, and you guys let me know what you think. Just real quick, to plug a few more things. If you want any additional coaching, you can ask me any questions on my Facebook page. That's linked all over the place, my Twitter and my blog. And also my coaching for Rakeback program, referral program on Lock Poker, is listed as my previous blog post to when this video will be posted. So you can check that out. There's a lot of opportunities to get coaching at very little cost or maybe even free. So I hope you guys take advantage of that, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's go ahead and get started. These first two games are versus Hold Please Pro. I get the impression that he's a reg. I've seen him around a while. It seems like he's open sitting multiple lobbies and stuff. So I've never played him. Actually, I have played him for 3 games, but I have just a few notes. So I don't really know too much about him. But I'm treating him like a thinking player and probably adjusting just slightly off some of the notes I have, and I think they'll pop up early on in the game. So I actually had to delete my poker tracker, so I lost my HUD stats that I would normally have some HUD stats on him from our previous games, but I'm not gonna have any. And I was a fish and forgot to open my HUD at first, but now we're good. Oh, max. Yeah, so I don't know, as a thinking player, and I feel like this is probably a kind of board that hits his out of position calling range, a decent amount. Maybe it's a board he might check raise some too. Maybe it's a bluff. I don't really know. I have a pretty good hand for checking back, though, and I kind of hate c-bet folding it to a check raise. And something that I think that a lot of people don't consider is hands like is when your check back is you're taking advantage of your perceived check back range. So when we c-bet this flop, like I think it's a pretty standard c-bet, and I think c-betting is fine. And if you wanted to make an argument that I should have even c-bet here, that's okay. But I think my main point is that when we check back, there's a lot of turn cards that we do pretty well on, actually. Like so like an 8, a 10, a 6, we're doing pretty fine on that. We're gonna have delay c-bet opportunities when he checks to us again on pretty much any other turn card as well. Even 2, 3, 4, 5. When he checks twice, his range should be relatively weak. We rep ace high pretty well. But because we rep ace high so well and king high so well, because those are such commonly perceived check back hands by thinking players on a board like this, when the turn is an ace or a king and it gets checked to us, we should be winning the pot a lot there too. So while we're checking back a gut shot, and we do have 8 outs, some of them better than others, or whatever. So yeah. Let's see, 4, 7, 10 outs, excuse me. Some better than others. I think we have some perceived outs that are part of our perceived range that we can win the pot on a lot too. And then, like I said, just some dry cards where when we're checked to again, we should be able to win the pot a lot as well. So I think it's kind of a spot where people tend to autopilot c-bet. I think it's fine versus fish. It's even okay versus regs, but if you are a little skeptical of someone's check raising frequency, it's a great board to check back. It's a great hand to do it with. So I definitely don't think that we should ever be folding the ace-7 on the left, especially with the backdoor flush draw. But don't know anything about his two-barrel frequency, so I'm just going to be folding to a two-barrel here. And I didn't have any room to leave the notes up on the screen, so I was just going to just go through these notes real quick just to get an idea about him, but also just kind of show what kind of notes I take. The top note here is that he check called a c-bet with king 7 on ace 9, 6, 2 hearts. I think check calling king high versus my barreling frequencies on that board is probably not a very good idea. It's just going to be really, really hard for king high to get to showdown very often versus me because I'm going to be barreling so much. He min-raise called 20 big blind stacks with king 10 off, which versus me is definitely fine. It's just, it's one of those hands where like I feel like a decent amount of regs probably min-raise fold it. So that kind of tells me something about his min-raise calling frequency. The next note is that his bluff leads with misdraws after a turn check can look like thin value. You can't see the whole note. But it's basically like after I c-bet the flop and the turn goes check, check, and he leads the river, it can look like thin value, meaning like it can be like 40% of the pot, a size that is perceived as thin value. And I think it's really important to take a lot of notes on sizings, especially things that stand out to you as something that you perceive as the opposite typically. So like typically I perceive a 40% lead in that spot as looking like thin value. I perceive a bigger lead on a lot of board textures as more polarized between like strong hands and air. So when someone does something that is opposite how you would normally perceive something, I think that's really important to note because it's the kind of thing that you are using a population tendency to make a play in a situation, and they're showing you that they do something opposite the population tendency. It's very important because it's outside your standard play. He's min c-bet some versus me, and it seemed like they were kind of weak because he folded check raises a few times, and he raises his button wide, maybe 80 to 90%-ish deep, so like probably that would mean like 40 plus for me. And I have a note that he continues versus my not all in 3-bets a decent amount. So again, the last two stats, the last two notes here are really important in my opinion. It's not taking your HUD at face value. And that's another mistake that a lot of players make. They just take the pre-flop raise, maybe it says 75, and they apply it to all stack depths. That's just an average of all effective stack situations. So while it might be 85% at 75 big blind stacks and 75% at 30 big blind stacks, that might only be 50% at 15 big blind stacks. And if we're treating that 15 big blind stack depth as a what our HUD stat says of maybe 75 or 80%, when it's actually 50%, and we're not paying attention to the actual frequencies of those different stack depths, then we're really missing out, and our HUD is actually hurting us more than it's helping us. That your HUD is helpful, but you have to take it for what it's worth and realize that it's an average of all situations, and there's still work for you to do to pay attention to frequencies at different effective stack sizes, and filter your HUD occasionally when you get a decent sample versus someone. And then the same for the 3-bet. Paying attention to whether your fold to 3-bet frequency is being affected by him folding the 3-bet shoves, stuff like that. But I think that note taking is so important. I think it's something that a lot of players don't do well. Same as misapplying HUD stats. Taking bad notes is worse than no notes at all, because it's going to make you do something that is outside your standard play and probably more exploitive. I think pretty standard here in both spots. But I just do like a slightly bigger than half pot c-bet, being 75 big blinds deep. I could see an argument for a little bit more, a little bit less. Obviously, check calling here on the right, and I don't really know anything about his 3-barreling frequencies, so I feel pretty comfortable folding here. I mean, I think a thinking player is going to be betting a decent amount wider than ace-x there, probably all his 9x and pocket pairs, 10s through kings as well. He should probably be value betting down to like queen 8, something like that versus me. It's kind of considering a not all-in 4-bet there with queen 4 suited, but it's not like the best hand for it without not having a ton of card removal or anything like that, and just not really knowing quite enough about his frequencies so far. But I like to be active and I like to be capable, and I think probably I'm a little bit spewy sometimes, but I think it's better to be capable and put people in difficult spots. I think it's important. So I did have a note that that I thought he continued to my non all-in 3-bets a lot, but I really consider this like one of the best hands to non all-in 3-bet, and I don't want to over adjust based on a questionable note. I think I had a question mark actually at the end of the note that you couldn't see, and that just kind of tells me like I get the feeling he's maybe continuing a lot, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm adjusting gradually. I'm not adjusting entirely. I'm not taking all of the 3-bet bluffs out of my range. Maybe I'm just not 3-bet bluffing the the 6-5 off, like the 8-5 off, like the maybe the bottom of my 3-bet bluffing range typically. But maybe I'm still just adjusting that range gradually, not eliminating all 3-bet bluffs. I'm keeping the 10-4 suited, the 7-6 suited, stuff like that. Because I think that even when someone does continue, maybe a little bit more than normal, those hands are still going to do pretty well because we still have initiative, got a lot of opportunity to see bet flops. Our perceived range is opposite our actual hand. So even though we miss a decent amount of boards, there's still a lot of boards, ace-x, king-x boards we can rep pretty well. So I think that this is a pretty good hand to 3-bet, even when someone's calling your 3-bets kind of wide. Flat flop lead turn on the right. I didn't really know what to think of it, but I feel like